Kia ora, Tony. Welcome to the Dunedin Stories podcast. Great to have you here with us today.
Thanks, Bex. It's lovely to be here.
Awesome. Tony, I'm going to let you explain to the audience who you are and what you do, and maybe a little bit of the special stuff about you. The show is yours.
Cool. So my name is Tony Boomer. I own House Travel Dunedin City. My life has basically been in travel since the late 80s. I set off on a top deck tour around Europe, potentially the best moments of my life. And I've sort of tried to build on those since then. Travel's been the focus of basically my entire working life. I've been fortunate enough to meet my wife travelling. Obviously, we've got a couple of kids who have taken travelling. So yeah, travel is a very important part of everything I do. I also love my football. I'm very involved in a local football club. So when I'm not working, that's pretty much what takes up most of my time.
Awesome. Travel industry. It's been through some tumultuous moments, particularly in the last few years.
Yeah.
But to start off though, do you want to talk about how you did get into it? So you did a top deck tour. Did that spark your interest or?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a photo I often look at when I visit my parents of me lying on our lounge floor looking at an atlas, just thumbing through some things, just countries and things, and sort of dreaming of that moment that I could actually get out of New Zealand and move on. So yeah, I headed off for my first trip. Our first trip was to Australia, obviously, Sydney, parents. We had a memorable moment at King's Cross one evening, which I'm sure my parents don't want me to tell anyone about. And then from there, I did my top deck trip in '87, did a little bit of independent travelling. Then I went back. I met some friends on there, as you do. Then I went back to travelling again, I think 1989. Did a Dragoman tour from Kathmandu or was supposed to finish in Harare, but we had a fairly tumultuous time in Nairobi. We had the truck rolled on the Malindi-Mombasa highway. That was kind of pivotal to my entire life. I got back to London. I stayed with my uncle and basically had a choice: come back or carry on. So it wasn't that easy at the time, but I did choose to stay. I then toured around Europe by myself for a while and then rejoined a Dragoman trip in North Africa, which was great. I just love that style of travel. The guys on the truck said, well, why don't you become a driver or tour leader or what have you? So came back to New Zealand, got my heavy duty truck driver's license, which I never thought I'd do. Went back to the UK and then spent the next 6 years on the road around South America and Middle East, Africa. And then at the end of that time, I met Catherine on a trans-African journey through Sudan, Eritrea and Ethiopia. Went back to Canada to be with her. And then I got a call from Dragoman. They wanted an operations manager for Africa back in the UK. So that suited us at the time very, very well. So I spent another 3 years there. Enjoying living in the UK, those day trips, well, not day trips, or weekend trips away to Europe and, Bruges and Paris and all that sort of thing. Did that, came back to New Zealand, had no idea what we were going to do. So I completed a teaching degree and so did Kath. I decided that wasn't for me. so I ended up in a travel agency and eventually joined Orbit World Travel and then into House Travel.
Wow.
And I've sort of continued travelling throughout that time.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be safe to say that you're not somebody that's ever just going to settle down and not travel again. It's in your blood.
No, I say that to my guys at work. It's like, I do this because I want to keep travelling. I love it. After COVID, I took a trip from Dunedin to Christchurch. Just going to the airport. That smell, that buzz, that everything about it. It was just so exciting.
Yeah. It is a very addictive thing, I think, is what you're trying to explain. Yeah.
I've just sent my nephew off to Vietnam, and that'll be the start for him. Right. I'm sure.
I've always been so safe with my travelling. I've gone to, I've been to America a few times and Canada and Australia and the Cook Islands, but destinations like Africa and the Middle East and things, it's like, oh, do I? I think because I'm getting a little bit older, I'm like, yeah, maybe I will.
You
Maybe
should.
I will.
They're amazing, amazing places, and
Yeah.
they just fill your heart with so many memories, and it's just it's so exciting. I'm heading back to Zimbabwe in May actually, so that'll be my first time back in Africa for 20 odd years. So that could be quite emotional, I think, because a lot of stories, a lot of memories, a lot of friends I've left there. Well, not a lot, but a couple. Um, that's going to be something, I reckon.
Tony, it's a big difference between being somebody involved in the travel industry, traveling a lot, selling travel, to taking that jump to actually being a business owner,
Yes.
responsible for other people because you've got employees and running a business. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that decision process maybe that you went through? Or...
Yeah. Well, I've been incredibly fortunate. The guys I've got at House Travel at the moment have been with us for like at least a decade. So during COVID, I had responsibility for 16 staff across 3 stores in Balclutha, Oamaru, and Dunedin, obviously. That reduced to 4 over COVID. So those 4 have all got 20 years plus experience. Been really fortunate that 3 others have joined us that were with us previous. Again, 10 to 20 years experience. So I've been very, very lucky to have those people sort of show the faith in the business that they have.
Yeah. What is it that the House of Travel brand brings for you or for your organisation?
Well, I think one, I don't know whether you call it a strategic purpose or something, but one of the key foundation things is no bullshit. It's actually written. And I like that. It's I think we're pretty straightforward, and even with our customers, we're pretty straightforward. If someone comes in, we're not just going to sell them something because they think it's a good idea. If for example, if I don't think that's a particularly good idea, I would say so. So we try and get what's best for our customers in terms of value. And we often hear that, like, I want the cheapest flight, and really you don't. Not at the moment.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So we operate on that ethos. There's no bullshit, best value, and like your holiday is supposed to be like a once in a lifetime experience. It's not something you do every week. It's something, it can be quite a lot of investment in a holiday. So you have to be sure what you're proposing to people is absolutely 100% right for them. Okay. And that could be different for same destination, but different ways of doing things.
Yeah. Tony, you're a born and bred Dunedinite, Dunner Stunner.
Sort of, yes.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a story there.
Oh yeah, so I was brought up in Dunedin. Both my parents were Dunedinites. So at the end of my schooling, they decided to make the move to Christchurch. So I ended up going up there for a year or two. Then decided to get out and go overseas. Came back at the early 2000s. Went back to Christchurch, as I said previously. And my wife ended up getting a job at Otago Girls. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to go back to Dunedin.
You've been a lot of different places.
Yeah. Well, to be quite frank, when I left Dunedin, I was quite happy to go because, Dunedin in the 70s and 80s is a different place to what it is now. We came back to Dunedin and I honestly couldn't believe the transformation. I mean, the amount of different types of food you could get, different beers. It wasn't just Spates or DB Brown or something. So, all that stuff. You could buy a Stella and all that sort of thing. So we thought we'd come back to Dunedin for a year or two and settle in, and that was like 2001,
right?
2002, something like that.
Yeah.
And very happy we're here now.
Awesome.
Very.
Awesome. And do you think Dunedin has made a special mark on your hustle on owning the House of Travel Dunedin City territory? Do you think there's something unique around Dunedin and what that means for you?
Yeah, what I like about Dunedin is Dunedinites in general know what they want, aren't impressed by all the flowery stuff necessarily, and they're after genuine experiences. So that's a common thread we get is somewhere clean and tidy to put your head. But if it's 4-star, 5-star, I think most people tend to like that as well when it's presented to them. So yeah, Dunedin's unique, and it doesn't seem to go through the highs and lows of other centres. We sort of steer a steady course through most sort of economic uncertain times and that sort of thing. So yeah, I like Dunedin for that. There doesn't seem to be too much drama around a whole lot of stuff. Yeah.
You mustn't spend too much time in some of those Facebook pages. Maybe you stay away from that negative drama-esque Facebook world.
Yes.
Yes, 100% he says. Don't even want to.
I think, yeah, crises are sometimes overblown.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah. No, I see things, I've experienced things overseas, floods and earthquakes and volcanoes and all that sort of thing. I've actually, been through some of that, and, I think sometimes
we don't know how lucky we are. 100%.
Yeah.
So you send people away from Dunedin a lot, obviously.
Yep.
Is the reversal so true of House of Travel? Do you sometimes play a role in enticing people to visit this awesome place? No.
What we did play a role in post-COVID was we had a lot of parents and grandparents bringing their kids back. So there was a lot of that, which was quite emotional from time to time. They hadn't seen each other for 3 years. That's still going on. We still have people reconnecting now after a long period.
Yeah, it was an important role you played, wasn't it? Yeah. So in taking on the House of Travel territory, business support services and people perhaps that deserve a bit of a shout out locally that helped you with that you would like to acknowledge?
Well, yeah, my weekly counselling sessions with you guys was quite good. Yeah.
I know that our team really enjoyed those.
Was it a regional?
The Regional Business Partnership, RBP.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
So that involved me coming down here just to talk about sort of stuff. Yeah, I learned a lot too, but it was I really enjoyed that moment every week. It sort of
just sharing in some of those business concerns that you're having, but also walking out with some tools that can make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
And having had a lovely cup of coffee and a chat with some nice people goes a long way, doesn't it?
It did.
Yeah. There was a
really
lot
good.
of businesses that benefited from the RBP, delivered by, shout out to, Business South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So travel industry, it has gone through a lot. We're not just talking about COVID, the methods of which people seek their travel packages and their travel services and the types of travel that we can do now.
Yeah.
What else is there other innovation happening around your industry that we should all keep an eye out, or what are you sort of up to locally?
I guess the travel industry is always going through tumultuous times. The advent of the internet was the end of travel agents, for example. And that's just evolved. And now we're talking about AI and things like that coming through. I think one of the things I really love about the House of Travel is they take those challenges and look to see how they can make a positive difference with them. Taking AI, for example, I think there's a saying around there, it's not AI that's going to take your job, it's someone using AI that's going to take your job.
Always going to need to be a human element, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And to be honest, we've seen a lot more people coming back to us, I guess, to use a travel agent or advisor, as they're currently called. So that's really encouraging. We're seeing a lot more younger people coming in. But it's quite funny. I said, why have you come in? I said, my mum sent me.
Well, I'm sure we all have a story as a result of COVID where people, pre-COVID, during COVID and post-COVID decided they'd still do it their way online and they got burnt, caught out. 100% using a travel agent or a travel advisor. I couldn't imagine doing it any other way now. The safety net, the knowledge, the local knowledge, as well as the international knowledge, the contacts.
Well, that's actually the main thing. I think I often have a hard time saying, "Oh, come and see us because we'll save you." It's like that's not the core of our job. It's what we do that, but that's only happens a small percentage of the time. And as you say, like most of my team have got 20 years experience in traveling, and they travel I mean, Paul's just come back from Japan on a skiing holiday. Rachel's off to Scandinavia to do some land content in Norway and Finland, and off on a Bruton cruise after that. You know, we love travelling. That's what we do, and yeah, it's a good place to be, I think. Yeah.
And it's still work, of course. I mean, there is this glamorous look to being a travel advisor, but ultimately you're on the ground and you're working hard to find out the best places to recommend and the experiences.
Yeah, if my guys listen to this, they'll be saying, yeah, it's hard work. It is hard work. You know, it can be long hours during the peak seasons, periods. It's hard work, but my view is, my own personal view, and I'm sure they share it, is that we wouldn't be there if we didn't enjoy it.
No, that's right.
Oh, I love it. And you clearly enjoy being a travel advisor and owning a House of Travel franchise.
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Bought it at a tricky time. But
yes, I put an exclamation mark beside 2021 when I saw that's when you brought it in.
I always had faith that we'd get through that. I always had faith.
Let's switch it up a bit and talk about Oti Dunedin, because first and foremost, that's kind of where my heart lies, and being a born and bred Dunediner yourself. So, you know, Dunedin has a huge amount on offer, both from experiences and services and food and people and places. Let's say you've got a long lost friend that you've reconnected with from your Drago Man days. You've got some wild stories to tell each other.
Yeah.
Where are you going to take them to get a quintessential Dunedin experience?
Well, in terms of food and drink. So if it was a coffee, it would be a Good Oil. It's just around the corner. We're regular attendees there. If it was a breakfasty lunch thing, I'd probably take them to the Precinct in the museum. That's tremendous.
Shout out, Precinct. Good work, Liz.
And dinner, Smokehouse.
Prohibition Steakhouse.
Yeah.
Nice. You like a bit of steak?
Oh yeah, but I like those salmon wings they do as well. Yeah, it's quite good.
Yes, no, it's a very beautiful restaurant. Andre and the crew have made something pretty special there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's quite a day of delicious food and coffee.
Yeah.
What about a event? Is there an event in the Dunedin calendar that you absolutely try to go to every year?
No.
No, I haven't been to any events for a long time now, he says.
Yeah, if there was a concert on, that would be something. If we draw it back to a sort of more week-to-week level, I won't miss a Royals game.
Ah, there we go. We haven't talked about this.
No, so basically I would be videoing it or something. Yeah,
Cool.
if it's in Dunedin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about a spot, a view, look out and gather your thoughts, get some inspiration? Or
I love that drive over Highcliffe Road.
Highcliffe Road.
Sometimes when I'm, you know, Dunedin is amazing, like visually. I mean, we don't often realise that. It's like sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. And I was once on that top deck trip. There was a couple of Londoners on it, and we were driving past Big Ben. I'm going, you know, my mouth agape. You know, I was like, oh wow, Big Ben. They're going, what are you looking at?
I don't see it anymore. Yeah.
But like, you drive over the hill there and you see down over the peninsula towards Tairoa Head, and it's some scene. I still often wonder why we don't get so many tourists. I mean, we get some tourists, but we don't get that many, which is probably, you know, not a bad thing, but it's beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, I think the sustainability lens is an important one in tourism, as I'm sure you're aware of when you sell services to other places as well. But hey, let's talk about football.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about football yet.
Yeah.
What's the team? Why football? What's to celebrate?
So I've been into football all my life. My father was a very good player. He played for 8 New Zealand age group teams back in his 60s, I think. So I was brought up on a diet of football, essentially. So I played all through my junior years. When I was overseas, I gave it a miss. Then ended up playing again in the village we lived in when I went back to work for Dragoman, called for the Debenham Leisure Centre. Okay,
Sounds very fancy.
It's not. Basically, Well, the leisure centre was all right actually, but like basically we got to play all around Suffolk. It was a village team essentially, and we got to play all around Suffolk, and it was great. I just fell in love with football again. So I got a bit disillusioned with it before I left. But yeah, I just loved it. You know, every after match was in a village pub somewhere, and I remember we won a league like Suffolk and Ipswich League Division 3 or something. It's Helmingstone or Helmingham, which is a little village about 2 hours away from our village, and because there was the possibility that we'd win the league, the village came.
You became local heroes.
And Champagne Supernova had just been released. It's like sort of the bus trip back was epic. I'll never forget that. And when I came back to New Zealand, I didn't really give it a thought about starting up again. But then Neil McKenzie approached me. He's a well-known guy in football around here. He says, "Oh, do you want to play in goal for a milk cup team?" It was like an under-17 team. I says, "Well, I don't quite fit the criteria." He said, "No, we're allowed a couple of players in there." So yeah, me and Phil Kelly, who's also well-known in football here. So we played for this team, and then a guy at Dave Martin Chambers came and said, "Oh, when you finish with that, do you want to come and play for us at Tech?" And so, oh yeah. And then it's just evolved and evolved and evolved since then. And sort of now with the Royals, Dunedin City Royals, trying really hard to survive in a cutthroat world of football in New Zealand.
And have some fun and make lifelong friends along the way.
To be honest, that's the key, is the fun part.
Yeah.
It is the absolute key. But, with a bit of success always helps.
Of course. You've got to have something super positive, I suppose, to celebrate.
Yeah.
Well, there might be a theme to this, because I'm going to ask you if you could share a Speight's or a Heineken or something more fancy, or a Ocho hot chocolate with a Dunedin legend.
Yeah.
Who would that be, Tony?
If it was football, it would probably be Jimmy Taylor, who was a goalkeeper in the 70s.
Okay.
And I remember going to the Old Caledonia and watching him, and God, he was good. It is so exciting to watch.
Is he still with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out to Jimmy Taylor.
Yeah, legend.
Awesome.
Also, I'm right into my history and stuff and classics and all that sort of thing. So I've often wondered. I'm quite interested in why people do what they do, especially back in the day. I mean, I don't know if you're watching. I'm just watching Masters of the Year at the moment on Apple, I think it is. Those guys going up on those B-17s. My God.
What were they thinking?
Well, I know what they were thinking, but just the sheer, I don't know what, to do that over and over again. I mean, my God. And I've often thought about, in relation to Dunedin, when people sort of arrived at Tairoa Head and turned into the inlet, I mean, what were they thinking? What was their motivation to stay? What was their motivation to, do what they did? That would be quite interesting.
It would be interesting conversations, wouldn't it? Yeah. No, I love that. Looking forward, what's on the agenda for 2024 for Tony or for House of Travel?
I'm trying to get all the team out and away to do some travel, because most of them haven't been away for a wee while. So we've got, as I said, Paul's just got back from Japan. Rachel's off to Scandinavia. Hopefully the rest of them have an opportunity this year to go somewhere. That's really important in our business. We need to be seen as actual travellers, I think, because we are slightly off the wall in our particular store. I think we've been to some weird places, which is just, I think, it's a strength, because it gives you sort of balance over how you approach things. Because I've had some interactions lately where I've asked for something or inquired about something, and I've had the response has been, "Oh no, you can't do this because." No,
we don't like hearing.
No, it's not what I want to hear. I want to know exactly how this can be achieved. I sort of, that's how we approach our travel as well. It's like, you come and you see the old spreadsheet comes out and you go, oh yeah. Okay. So it's a matter of finding ways to achieve what people's dreams and aims are.
It's serious when the spreadsheet comes out.
Well, we've got, with all the roadworks we've had around us, we know it's serious that it's turned up in the store.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's been quite a challenge lately.
Funny you should talk about that, Tony. Next question. If you had the power to change one thing about Oti Dunedin, What would that be, do you think, and what kind of difference would it make?
Well, I'm actually quite excited about the road work because I think the final product's going to be very fine. Yeah, so it's going to be great. If I, I despair sometimes about our sports facilities. There's a lot of people that want to be active around town, and I see our masters teams and things, basically trudging along on turfs that aren't really up to it. Yeah, I'd love to see more investment in grounds and things. I mean, like the Edgar Centre, I absolutely adore the Edgar Centre. I spent half my life in there with my kids. Um, a heater would be good. So,
Maybe there's a ploy there. We all buy the best jackets every season so that we can get in there. But
sure.
I understand.
But yeah, just a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit of tweak here and there. Just some of the changing rooms and all that sort of stuff would be just not millions and millions, but just some small investment to just raise the game a wee bit there would be good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Health and well-being for the people that are participating, but also those that want to be out there supporting is really important, isn't it? Yeah. So in wrap up, Tony, do you want to talk about again who you are, what you do, and how can people find you to take advantage of your services for travel?
Sure. So we're located at 44 Hanover Street. We have a Facebook page. We have a website which is being developed. I hasten to add because it's not that great at the moment. Like during COVID, we basically cut all investment in everything. So we're just sort of catching up in the technological space at the moment. Some really exciting things happening there. Like we're integrating a lot of our internal search engines with AI and stuff like that. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
But it's so lovely to sit down and chat with you, Tony. And I really hope that the rest of this year and the foreseeable future goes COVID or pandemic free. And I look forward to seeing your continued business growth. Thanks for joining us.
Cool. Thanks very much.